It's streaming. Most terrible camera in the world.
It's just small.
What are you gonna do, huh? You good. What does it look like?
Why y'all so close together?
Because
we can't.
Because the camera is very small.
Y'all don't have to be on camera.
Right,
Well,
because it's
I'm in the
not
camera
about
regardless. I'm
If you back it up and put it like this, look, it's down low.
No, that ain't gonna work.
It ain't gonna work.
You can see the table.
That's what I'm saying. There's nothing we can do. This is it. This is it. Just like the Michael Jackson tour, baby.
What song we doing? The anthem. You sure it wasn't that song?
Y'all say y'all sing. Oh, what y'all saying? All right. Here you go. Give me 5 seconds. 5 seconds. Because they saying they can't hear nothing, which I don't understand.
We gotta start over.
Definitely not.
It's on you.
It's obviously lagging because the camera is pointing that way.
No, say his feet.
At my feet.
No,
Your-
at my
Sounds just fine to me. Forget about it. So you're, hold on one second, hold on. Hello? Tom. What's up? It was this garble. I thought he did that. He don't even, he threw that away. That thing with all the USB ports in it, he threw that away. They are.
Like a little thing where you could put you could put these in there.
Yes, sir.
And like so you need like extra space. Like
Go to the live one on YouTube real quick, because I hear it. It sounds clear on my phone. At least now I do. It's already started over 3 times. It'd be frivolous to do it anymore. You said it's... Alright, well...
it is though, every time. That's kind of attitude you gotta have. Like, but it's like you're not performing for the people, you're performing for the Most High. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, yeah, that's performing for the Most High.
you talk about when the lesson starts. Alright. Alright. It says it sounds better now. Okay.
No matter how this works out.
Yeah.
The Most High gonna work together.
Can you hear it?
That's thankful.
Yeah, I know it's dark. Alright. Alright.
Wait, it's dark.
On now.
It's dark.
Outside, no. It is really bright. Like if you walk outside right now, you will be you will have to take this to the test. Oh, it's because the way the building is designed, there are no windows, so there's no light. There's no outside light on the inside. This is artificial light.
Yes. All right. Yeah, let's go. All right, it's on. What?
Thank you. Your mercy endures forever.
This Esau is about to play host to an unforgettable vacation movie. That game of golf. You want to leave too?
kids be standing. White kids disagree one time.
Check. That's on the feet. Big got key. That's on the Like here?
I can hear it. I guess it was just when all the music playing and stuff. I don't know.
We good.
Get it. Get them
I guess this don't even need to be on.
He said, I'm probably gonna have to elevate the laptop. Just get a good angle of it. Probably do that.
Hey, Ron. Still going, it's different now, Several different now.
Kind of sort of.
We only need two, right? Where the mic's at?
Y'all real good with y'all?
Right, I was waiting for them, they are.
Check.
Hold on, check this real quick. I'm about to see what's going on.
Somebody want to YouTube see how it sounds real quick, just in case I have to mess with it before I start teaching. Hello?
Check it again.
You
That's you? Yeah.
going on? Whatever. Sounds good. Okay.
Can y'all see me?
Y'all can see me? Like this. Alright. Alright, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Alright, for those that's watching on the live, please bear with us. Most of the congregations in Cincinnati and the county that we usually use is not working. But this is a very important lesson because there's a lot of things that's going on in the world. We've been talking about the street our enemies. We turn the light on a little bit.
That's 5.
It's number 5. So the title of this lesson is Love Your Enemies is the Law. How y'all feel about that? How does it make y'all feel? I'm going to say it again. Love your enemies is the law. That's the name of this lesson. How does that make y'all feel? Anybody feel any way about that? None of the brothers? You brother Desmond?
I would like to hear what you have to say about it.
It's the law. How does that make y'all feel? Anybody got anything that make nobody feel no type of way? How does that make you feel, Brother Colin?
Well, for me, it depends on what enemy you're talking about.
Love your enemy.
What enemy?
Any enemy.
Now, I want my brother, if he's my claiming him to be my enemy, I gotta love him.
What about somebody that don't look the same as you, that's not the same color as you?
Well, God said, be with peace with all men if possible.
Absolutely. I like that response. Absolutely. That's exactly what it says. But I'm going to show today in the Torah how loving our enemy is not just the people that look like us. And this was in the Torah, okay? Look at Leviticus chapter 26. And for those that have a concordance, we're going to look up that word enemy. Put the word enemy. All right, we're about to get the definition of the word enemy. Okay? What does that say, Brother Zach?
Check.
What microphone is that?
Number 2. Check.
Is it muted?
Check. Number 2. Check. Check.
Antoine, where you at? Wish you never would have left.
Unmute number 1 real quick.
Do you know what it means when you say unmuted? Number 1. All right, turn it on a little bit. There we go. Okay, read that definition of enemy.
All right, it comes from the Strong's H341. It's Oyabe.
Yahweh.
It says hating, an adversary.
What?
An adversary.
So the word enemy in Hebrew just means an adversary.
Enemy or foe.
Enemy or foe. Simply put, right? Okay, let's get Leviticus 26, chapter 26, verse 21. So, this lesson is going to establish how we should behave towards our enemies and how Yah behaves towards us, because we have been Yah's enemy before. So, we're going to get that foundation laid right now. Leviticus 26, verse 21.
Leviticus chapter 26, verse 21. And if you walk contrary unto me,
If you do what?
walk contrary unto me,
If you walk opposite to me, just like we read in the definition, and contrary means opposite. If you walk contrary to me, keep going.
and will not hearken unto me, I will bring 7 times more plagues upon you according to your sins.
Keep going.
I will also send wild beasts among you, which shall rob you of your children, and destroy your cattle, and make you few in number, and your highways shall be desolate. And if you will not be reformed by me by these things, but will walk contrary unto me,
But will do what?
but will walk contrary unto me,
Okay.
then I will also walk contrary unto you.
You will do what?
I will also walk contrary unto you.
So when he says he will walk contrary unto us, can anybody tell me what that means? Absolutely. He will be in opposition against us, right? So if we're breaking Yah's law according to Yah, we're his enemy, right? Absolutely. Okay, let's go. Let's get 1 John chapter 2. Let's set the foundation for that. Chapter 2, verse 15.
The book of 1 John, chapter 2, verse 15. Love not the world.
Love what?
Love not the world.
Okay.
Neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him.
What?
If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him.
So if you're of the world and you love the things of the world, the love of the Father is not in you. So that will make you the Father's what? Enemy. Absolutely, that will make you his enemy, right? Go to James 4:4. So we're setting the foundation that the word enemy has been so subscribed to nation versus nation and color versus color, when it's clear that we can be Yah's enemies, and a lot of us are still Yah's enemies and walking contrary to him, right? James chapter 4, verse 4.
Book of James, chapter 4, verse 4. Ye adulterers and adulteresses.
You what?
Ye adulterers and adulteresses.
Okay.
Know ye not that the friendship of this world,
That the what?
that the friendship of this world is enmity with Elohim.
Is what with Elohim?
Is enmity with Elohim. Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is an enemy of Elohim.
Is a what?
Is an enemy of Elohim.
Or adversary of Elohim, correct? Anybody who is a friend of this world is an enemy of Elohim, right? All right. Let's get Matthew chapter 12. This is where the feathers might start getting ruffled, but this is just what the book says. And that's all I can do is read what the book says.
Yes, sir.
Matthew chapter 12. Read verse 30. Because he's about to establish a further premise on who his enemy is. That's speaking not just on color, but just on principle. Matthew 12:30.
Matthew 12:30. He that is not with me.
He that is what?
He that is not with me.
If you're not with the Messiah, keep going on.
Is against me.
Is what?
Is against me.
So according to the Messiah, if you're not with the Messiah, you're his enemy. Keep going.
And he that gathereth not with me scattereth abroad.
So if you don't gather with them, you separate. Keep reading.
Wherefore I say unto you, all manner of sin and blasphemy shall be forgiven unto men.
What did he say?
All manner of sin and blasphemy shall be forgiven unto men.
I just want y'all to remember that part. All manner of sin and blasphemy shall be forgiven unto men. Let's jump back a couple chapters. Matthew chapter 5. We're setting the foundation for something. We're going to look at that we're Yah's enemies. We have been Yah's enemies, just like we established reading those previous scriptures. And now with these scriptures that we're about to go into, we're going to show how Yah treats his enemies. Because we've all been Yah's enemies before, correct? We walked contrary to Yah. So we're going to see how Yah treats his enemies. And if we're supposed to be the image of the Most High Yah, it's going to show us an example of how we're supposed to treat our enemies. Everybody agree with that? Yeah. Okay, Matthew chapter 5. Pick it up at verse 45.
Matthew 5:45.
44, I'm sorry. 44.
Matthew 5:45. That ye may be the children of your Father which is in heaven.
That you may be the children of your Father that is in heaven. Keep reading.
For he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good.
Hold on, he does what?
He maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good.
So if you're doing evil towards the Most High, you're his friend or his enemy? You're his enemy, correct? Keep reading.
And send rain on the just and on the unjust.
So he sends rain, which in the scriptures that we've seen before, that the brothers have taught before, is the blessing of the Most High. If he sends rain on the just and the unjust are considered his what? His enemies, right?
Right.
But he still does what to them?
Oh, he's still. Right.
He still provides for them. He still gives them rain, and he lets the sun rise on them, right? Absolutely. Keep going.
For if you love them which love you,
if you love those which love you, only keep going.
What reward have you?
What reward have you? If you only love the people that say, I love you, what makes you different than the sinner on the block that say he loves the person he's shooting guns with? What makes you any different than him? Keep reading.
Do not even the publicans the same?
Don't the tax collectors do the same? Keep going.
And if you salute your brother only,
if you only salute your brothers, right? The people that look like you, right? You see what you're going into. If you only salute your brothers, keep going.
What do you more than others?
What do you more than others? What's the difference between you and the gang member on the block that salute his brother?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? What's the difference? Keep going.
Do not even the publicans so? Be ye therefore perfect.
Be what?
Be ye therefore perfect. Even as your Father which is in Shamayim is perfect.
So, after we just read Matthew chapter 5, from 45 to 48, we see that the Most High, when people who are unjust towards him, who do evil, they are his enemies, yet he still provides for them. He still gives them the opportunity to wake up and get it right every day, correct? He still makes the rain fall down upon them. He still gives them opportunities, right? Get Psalms 145. So we're about to continue to lay this foundation that's throughout the scripture. Psalms 145, pick it up at verse 9.
Psalms 145, verse 9. Yahuwah is good to all.
He's what?
Yahuwah is good to all. And his tender mercies are over all his works.
Over what?
Over all his works.
Are the Gentiles his works? Is he not the Elohim of all flesh?
Yes.
So he says he's what? Read it again.
Yahuwah is good to all, and his tender mercies are over all his works.
Keep going.
All your works shall praise thee.
What are your works shall what?
Shall praise thee.
Mm-hmm.
O Yahuwah, thy saints shall bless thee.
Keep going.
They shall speak of the glory of your kingdom and talk of your power, to make known the sons of men his mighty acts and the glorious majesty of his kingdom. Your kingdom is an everlasting kingdom.
It's a what?
An everlasting kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And thy dominion endureth throughout all generations.
All generations. Let's get Psalms 103. Now we're setting the foundation of how Yah treats his so-called enemies. We're supposed to emulate Yah, right? Okay. Psalms 103. Pick it up around verse 9.
Psalms 103 and 9. He will not always chide, neither will he keep his anger forever.
What does it mean to chide? Anybody know what that word means?
Discipline.
Absolutely. He will not always discipline. He will not always argue or battle with you. He will not chide with you. Keep going.
He has not dealt with us after our sins.
He has not did what?
Not dealt with us after our sins.
If he dealt with me after my sins, I would be dead right now. Okay? So I can't judge nobody else for their sins. All I can do is show you the right direction. Because the way I was going, the way I was supposed to be dead. Keep going.
For as the heaven is high above the earth, so great is his mercy towards them that fear him.
Towards who?
Them that fear him.
Keep going.
As far as the east is from the west, so far hath he removed our transgressions from us.
He's done what?
Removed our transgressions from us.
He removed our transgressions from us. In Leviticus chapter 26, he said if you walk contrary to him, he's going to walk contrary to you. We understand that that was the Levitical covenant and the Levitical ordinances. He sent his son to die, and he fulfilled this scripture right here. He removed all transgressions for us, even though we was his enemies. Correct?
Yeah.
Keep going.
Like as a father pitieth his son, so Yahuwah pitieth them that fear him.
Only Israelites.
Them that fear him.
And as far as I understand, all human beings come from Adam, correct? So according to the King James Version, it says like as a father pities his children, which means that we're all will be his children. So we will pities them that fear him. Lamentations chapter 3. We're going to continue to lay this foundation because it's showing us what Yah wants from us. Pick it up at verse 22. Lamentations 3.
This is Lamentations 3, verse 22. It is of Yahuwah's mercies that we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not.
Keep going.
They are new every morning.
They are what?
They are new every morning.
Read it from the top one more time.
It is of Yahuwah's mercies that we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not.
Keep going.
They are new every morning.
They are new every morning, which means that this person that he makes the sun rise on, the just and the unjust, they get a new opportunity every morning. Every day that you're alive, you have an opportunity to make it right with the Most High. Okay? So, let's get into it. We see how Yah looks at his enemies. Okay? Now we're going to look at how Yah wants us to treat our enemies. Proverbs chapter 24. Pick it up at verse 17.
Book of Proverbs chapter 24, verse 17. Rejoice not when thine enemy falls.
Do not what?
Rejoice not when thine enemy falls.
Rejoice not when your enemy falls. So in this context, he wouldn't be speaking about another Israelite because they weren't our enemies back then. He would be talking about the other nations that we have war with. Correct? Yeah. Read that again.
Rejoice not when thine enemy falls, and let not thine heart be glad when he stumbles.
Keep going.
lest Yahuwah see it and it displease him.
Listen, what?
Yahuwah see it and it displease him, and he turn away his wrath from him.
So if he turned his wrath away from him, who do you think he turned it on? Since it displeased him, since you was laughing at him. Who was wrath going to be turned towards now? It's going to be turned towards the person that was laughing, correct? Let's continue to establish it. This next chapter that we're about to get, this is going to be the root of the lesson. Let's get Luke chapter 6. Picking up in verse 27.
This is Luke chapter 6, verse 27. But I say unto you which hear, love your enemies.
Love your enemies. It's the law. Right? It says love your enemies. Can we go back to the Torah and show this in any way? Anybody got any ideas how we can show loving your enemies in the Torah? In the first 5 books of Moses. In any way? Anybody got any examples? Because we're going to break this whole thing that he said down. Because nothing that the Mashiach said was of his own accord.
Not on part of Edomite, don't. The Egyptians.
Absolutely. What you was about to say, Greg?
I was going to say, could, the question was a time where the Most High shows love to his enemies in the Torah?
Where can we see an example of someone showing love to their enemies in the Torah?
Will we see that when the people left Egypt and they let the Egyptians and the Egyptians come with them?
That's definitely a good example. Absolutely. But let's get a deeper example. Let's get Genesis chapter 13. Keep your finger here on Luke 6 and 27 because this is the base of it. Everything that the Mashiach said should be able to be taken back to the Old Testament in some way, some manner, shape, or form. So when it says love your enemies, he's not pulling this out of some new hat of his. This is something that's coming from what he's already laid down. Genesis 13. Right? Let's pick it up at verse 13. Genesis 13 and 13.
Genesis 13:13. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before Yahuwah exceedingly.
The men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before Yahuwah exceedingly. Right? So what was this story about? Anybody know? Who is Genesis 13 about? It's about Abraham, right? It's about Abraham. So Abraham was called the what of the Most High? The friend of the Most High, right? So if he's the friend of the Most High and Sodom and Gomorrah were sinners before Yahuwah exceedingly, would that make Sodom and Gomorrah Abraham's friend or his enemy? It make him his enemy, right? Let's continue to get some foundation on that. Let's get chapter 14, verse 9. Pick it up at verse 9.
This is Genesis 14 and 9. With that guy, Kedorlaomer, the king of Ammon, and with Tidal, king of nations, and Amraphel, king of Shinar, and that guy, king of Everyplace. 4 kings with 5.
So 4 kings versus 5. Right? Keep going.
And the vale of Sodom was full of slime pits. And the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled and fell there. And they that remained fled to the mountain. And they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and all the victuals and went their way.
So Kedorlaomer and his people, they ended up getting power over Sodom and Gomorrah, and they fled to the mountains, and they took everything. Keep going.
And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods and departed.
So while they took everything, in Genesis chapter 13, Lot decided to dwell in Sodom and Gomorrah because Abraham and Lot had too much cattle, too much substance for the land of Canaan. So Lot chose to dwell in Sodom and Gomorrah, which, as Genesis 13 says, before it got destroyed, was watered like the Garden of Eden. So he chose to stay there, and the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah ended up losing their battle between these kings, and Lot was taken and his goods in the midst of the war. Keep going.
And there came one that had escaped, and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre the Amorite.
The what?
The plain of Mamre the Amorite.
The Amorite. Where the Amorites come from?
Cain, Lot's daughter.
Amorites, that's the Ammonites that come from Lot's daughters. The Amorites is one of the descendants of Canaan. These would be the African nations. The Amorites come from Ham. I said Amorite. Keep reading.
And brother of Amorite, brother of Eshcol, and brother of Aner. And these were confederate with Abram.
They were what?
Confederate with Abram.
So Abraham was in confederate with some Hamites?
Wow.
Well, the enemy. Where's the law? Keep reading.
And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, born in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan. And he divided himself against them, he and his servants, by night, and smote them, and pursued them unto Hobah, which is on the left hand of Damascus. And he brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot, and his goods, and the women also, and the people. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of that guy, of the kings that were with him at the valley of Shabbat, which is the king's dead.
Jump down to verse 21. So the king of Sodom went out to meet him. And in between here, we got the Melchizedek and Abraham, and Melchizedek giving tithes to Abraham in between that. But right now, we're getting background on the character of the king of the Sodom and Gomorrah, which we just read in the previous chapter, that they were sinners before the Most High exceedingly, right? We're about to see a further example of how wicked this man is. Verse 21.
And the king of Sodom said unto Abram, give me the persons, and take the goods to yourself. And Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up my hand unto Yahuwah, the Most High Elohim, and the possessor of Shamayim and earth, that I would not take from a thread even to a shoe latchet.
You will not do what?
Take from a thread even to a shoe latchet, and that I will not take anything that is thine, unless thou sayest, I have made Abram rich.
Unless you should say what?
I have made Abram rich.
So, go to Genesis 13 real quick and read verse 1.
Genesis 13:1. And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife and all that he had, and Lot with him into the south. And Abram was very rich in cattle.
He was what?
Very rich in cattle.
Keep going.
In silver and in gold.
So Abraham was already rich, right? And Abraham went and got his nephew back with the Sodom and Gomorrah and their people. And the king of Sodom said, just give me the people back and you can take whatever goods that you had.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Give me my people back and you can take whatever you had. Rightfully, Abraham could ask for all of this because he went to war and got it. But he knows the character of the king of Sodom and Gomorrah, because he knows that he will say he will make Abraham rich, right? He knows that he already is capable of talking like this or being like this. So this further says what? That the king of Sodom and Gomorrah, are they aligned in interest or are they in opposition?
Yeah, they opposite.
For sure.
They're in opposition, correct? Right, Brother Timothy?
Absolutely.
Okay. So they're wicked sinners, right? Let's see what Abraham do. Genesis chapter 18. Pick it up at verse 20.
Genesis 18 and 20. And Yahuwah said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of them. What is come unto me, and if not, I will know.
Okay.
And the men turned their faces from them, and went toward Sodom. But Abram stood yet before Yahuwah. And Abraham drew near and said, Wilt thou destroy the righteous with the wicked?
Will you do what?
Wilt thou destroy the righteous with the wicked?
Keep going.
Peradventure there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy them with destroy and spare the place for 50 righteous that are therein.
So what is Abraham trying to do to Sodom and Gomorrah right now?
He interceded.
He's trying to save them from being destroyed. He's trying to save them from being destroyed. Keep going.
That be far from me to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and that the righteous should be as the wicked. That be far from me. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? And Yahuwah said, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sake.
So he knows it's not 50 righteous people. We just read in Genesis 13 that they were exceedingly wicked. We just read this. What is Abraham doing? He's trying to save these wicked people. Love your enemies, for it's the law. Keep going.
And Abraham answered and said, behold now, I have taken upon me to speak unto Yahuwah, which am but dust and ashes.
He said, I'm nothing but dust and ashes. He's talking to Yahuwah and interceding with him. He know he can't get y'all to change his mind if he don't want to change his mind. But he's still doing it because he is interceding on behalf of these people. Keep going.
Peradventure there shall lack 5 of the 50 righteous. Will thou destroy all the city for lack of 5? And he said, if I find 40 and 5, I will not destroy it.
Do I gotta keep reading this or y'all get my point? Okay, go to Luke 6. Back to Luke 6. So in that story, we seen two things. We seen Abraham trying to save a bunch of wicked people, and we seen that while he was in the land of Canaan, he was confederate with the Amorite. Love thy enemies. Luke 6:27, one more time.
Luke 6:27. But I say unto you which hear, love your enemies.
Do what?
Love your enemies.
Hold it right there. Anybody can give me another example of this somewhere? Y'all didn't know it. It's in the Torah. Anybody can give me another example of loving your enemies in the Torah? One example. Okay, let's go to Genesis 27. Because Mashiach ain't just making this up. He's not just saying these things because they're good and we're supposed to do them. He's getting them from somewhere. Genesis 27, pick it up in verse 41. Genesis 27 and verse 41.
Y'all get there, say hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Y'all follow me? Y'all sleep out there? Y'all all right? All right. Genesis 27 and 41.
And Esau hated Jacob.
He did what?
Hated Jacob.
Okay.
Because of the blessings wherewith his father blessed him.
So Jacob betrayed his pops, right? Got him thinking that he was Esau. Esau came in from the field like, I was supposed to get that blessing. So now he's been betrayed, and Esau hates his brother. Keep going.
And Esau said in his heart.
He did what?
Said in his heart.
Okay.
These days of mourning for my father are at hand.
Mm-hmm.
Then will I slay my brother.
I will do what?
Then will I slay my brother Jacob.
We already know it's saying in Leviticus, you shall not hate your brother in your heart, right? So we already see that Esau is in a state of hatred, right? Go to Genesis 33. Love your enemies, for it's the law. Wicked Esau, right? Watch what he do. Watch what wicked Esau do. Read 33 and verse 2.
Genesis 33 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
And he put the handmaids and their children foremost, and Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph and their most.
So, if y'all know what's going on here, Jacob has got word that Esau is coming to meet him, and he knows that Esau said he gonna kill him the last time they seen each other. So he put his least favorite family members
and his least favorite kids in the front. And he put Rachel and Joseph in the back so they don't get killed, right? Keep going.
And he passed over before them and bowed himself unto the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother.
Mm-hmm.
And Esau ran to meet him.
He did what?
Ran to meet him. And embraced him.
And did what to him?
Embraced him. And fell on his neck and kissed him.
And did what?
Fell on his neck and kissed him.
Keep going.
And they wept.
And they did what?
And they wept.
So what is Esau doing right now? He's loving his enemy, right? 100%. A man's enemy shall be the head of his own household, right? He's loving his enemies. He ran up to Jacob, hugged him, kissed him on his neck, and they started crying together because Jacob thought it was over for him. He know he could be Esau. Keep going.
And he kissed him, and they wept. And he lifted up his eyes and saw the women and the children, and said, Who are those with thee? And he said, The children which Elohim have graciously given thy servant.
Hold that right there. Jump to verse 9.
Verse 9. And Esau said, I have enough, my brother.
He had what?
I have enough, my brother.
So Jacob tried to give him something, and what Esau saying?
I have enough.
I'm straight. He could have stole everything, took more than what he needed. What did he say? Read it again.
And Esau said, I have enough, my brother. Keep that thou hast unto thyself.
Keep what you have to yourself. These brothers was just about to kill each other, right? Keep reading.
And Jacob said, Nay, I pray thee, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then receive my present at my hand. For therefore I have seen thy face, and as though I have seen the face of Elohim, and thou wast pleased with me. Take, I pray thee, my blessings that is brought to thee, because Elohim have dwelt graciously with me.
So what are they doing right now? They're making amends with each other, right? Jump down to verse 15.
Verse 15. And Esau said, Let me now leave with thee some of the folk that are with thee.
Let him do what?
Let me now leave with thee some of the folk that are with thee.
Is there anywhere in the text where it said that these people left Jacob and them? Esau left some of his family members with Jacob. Is there anywhere else in the text where it said that they left?
No.
So Jacob and his children are confederate with Edomites? Love your enemy. What's the law? Keep going.
And he said, What needeth it? Let me find grace in the sight of my master. So Esau returned that day on his way to Seir. And Jacob journeyed to Sodom.
Simply put, love your enemy. You got two people about to kill each other, not even loving each other. Let's go back to Luke 6. We're going to deal with the second part of the verse. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Go to Deuteronomy 28 and 48. This is a very controversial chapter, right? Deuteronomy chapter 28, pick it up at verse 48.
Deuteronomy 28, 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies. Serve thine enemies, which Yahuwah shall sin against thee.
Which who shall sin against you?
Yahuwah shall sin against thee.
So they use these, you hear people on the corner reading this, you shall serve your enemies, right? All this stuff on the corner, right? But it's clearly saying that Yah is sending the enemies against us. Why is he sending the enemies against us? Because by Deuteronomy Leviticus 26, which is actually the counterpart to Deuteronomy 28, we have to walk contrary unto Yah, so he's going to walk contrary unto us, and he's going to allow these things to happen. Keep reading, brother.
In hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things.
And in one of all things. Who sent these enemies against us?
Yahuwah.
Okay. Let's go back to Luke 6 right now. Verse 27, brother.
Luke 6 and 27. But I say unto you which hear, Love your enemies.
Love your enemies.
Do good unto them which hate you.
Do good unto them which hate you. Do the enemies that Yahuwah sent against us, do they love us or hate us?
Hate us.
What are we supposed to do? Do good to them that hate you. Can we see an example of this in the Torah somewhere? Anybody? Do good unto them that hate you. You know it's there. It's there. Deuteronomy 23. I think Brother Nate gave one of these examples when I first started the lesson. Do good unto them that hate you. Deuteronomy chapter 23 and verse 7.
Deuteronomy 23:7. Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite.
You shall not what?
And not abhor an Edomite.
What does it mean to abhor something? To despise it with the uttermost part of your being, right? What does the law say? Read that again.
Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite.
Worthless feathers. Keep going.
For he is thy brother.
For he is your what?
He is thy brother.
Keep going.
Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian.
You shall not despise an Egyptian. Why?
Because thou art a stranger in his land.
So, Mashiach said, do good to those that hate you. Did the Egyptians hate us?
Yeah.
Did Esau and his children hate us at one point in time?
Yeah.
But it's telling us not to hate them.
Wow.
Because we were a stranger in his land, specifically for the Egyptians, right? Exodus 23. It's in the law. Everything got to go back to the law. I appreciate Bishop Quad for teaching me that. He gonna get me when we see that. Exodus 23. Pick it up around verse 4, brother Matt. Remember, we're dealing with do good to those that hate you, right?
This is Exodus 23:4. If thou meet thine enemy's ox.
If you do what?
If thou meet thine enemy's ox.
Does the enemy hate you or love you? Enemy hates you, right? So what does this law say?
If thou meet thine enemy's ox or his donkey going astray.
So if you see this person that you hate and that hate you, if you see his donkey going astray or his cow, right? Keep going.
Thou shalt surely bring it back to him.
You shall do what?
Surely bring it back to him.
No, he can't kill him. Take it for yourself.
Bring it back to him.
Keep going again.
If thou see the donkey of him that hateth thee lying under his burden, and wouldst prepare to help him, thou shalt surely help him with him.
You shall surely help him. So you got to understand that the donkeys and the oxes and all those animals were currency for the Hebrews. And if you hated somebody, the first thing your flesh wants you to do is want them to fail.
Right, dang.
But instead, it's saying right here to pick it up. Do good to those that hate you, right? Let's go back to Luke 6. This is the focal point for this lesson. Luke 6. You know what I'm going to ask you after we read this part. Luke 6 and 27, brother.
Luke 6:27. But I say unto you which hear, love your enemies.
Love your enemies. We already showed that, right?
Do good to them which hate you.
Do good to those that hate you. Keep going.
Bless them that curse you.
Bless them that curse you. Can anybody show an example of that in the Torah? Anything that pops into anybody's hand. When somebody blessing somebody that's cursing. What you say, brother?
Deuteronomy 28:50.
Let's go there. I don't know. Let's go there. I didn't read that scripture. That was what I wanted to pull up. We might do it. Let's read it. You said verse 50?
Yes.
28 and 50. Okay.
Deuteronomy 28:50. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young.
The verse after that too?
Yes.
Keep going.
And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land, until thou wilt be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thine kind, or flocks, or the sheep, until he have destroyed thee.
This don't sound like blessing nobody that curse you, brother. This sounds like getting destroyed. So, I'm going to ask that again. Can we show somebody getting blessed when they were cursed? In the Torah.
I'm thinking about the incident with Balaam.
Okay, so in that incident, right, it wasn't something that he was choosing to do. Every time he went to bless them, curse them, a blessing came.
Right.
So it was like nothing that they, you know what I'm saying, the person was asking Balaam to curse his people, but he couldn't do it.
Right.
But I thought about that as well. But let's get a specific example. Let's get Numbers chapter 16. Pick it up at verse 1, brother.
Numbers 16:1. Now Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, and Dathan, and Abiram, and the sons of Eliab, and Am, and the son of Peleth, sons of Reuben, took men. And they rose up before Moses with certain of the children of Israel, 250 princes of the assembly, famous in the congregation, men of renown.
Now, we've been in the scripture many a time. So what are these men doing to Moses right now?
It's like they trying to usurp him.
They're trying to say that he's taking too much upon himself. They're murmuring against him like they did in the wilderness many a time, right? Keep going.
And they rose up before Moses with certain of verse 3. And they gathered themselves together against Moses and against Aaron, and said unto them, Ye take too much upon you, seeing all the congregation are set apart.
What does he mean by he saying, y'all take too much upon you? What is he saying?
Too much control.
He said y'all doing too much, right? Who do y'all think y'all is, right? So he's talking back to Moses, right? He's spewing bad things and hatred out of his mouth. Keep going.
Ye take too much upon you, seeing all the congregation are set apart.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of them, and Yahuwah is among them.
Mm-hmm.
Wherefore then lift ye yourselves above the congregation of Yahuwah.
Whether you do what?
Lift yourselves up above the congregation of Yahuwah.
So if Moses and Aaron were lifting themselves up against Yahuwah, that would be a major violation, correct? So since they were not doing this, they were not lifting themselves up, Yahuwah had appointed them to do this, they're therefore cursing them, right? Saying that they're in a situation of sin, right? Putting them in sin, that they're doing this, right? Absolutely. You say what, brother? Yes, absolutely. So let's see what Moses is going to return to that. Let's get to verse 19. Remember, bless those that curse you, right? Verse 19.
Verse 16:19. And Korah gathered all the congregation against them unto the door of the tabernacle.
He gathered all the congregation to the door of the tabernacle. Keep going.
And the esteem of Yahuwah appeared unto all the congregation.
Mm-hmm.
And Yahuwah spake unto Moses.
What did he say to Moses and Aaron?
Take so much upon yourself.
Keep going.
And Yahuwah spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, Separate yourselves from amongst this congregation.
Separate yourself from these people. About to destroy these people. Keep going.
That I may consume them in a moment.
That I may what?
May consume them in a moment.
So the people cursed Moses to their face. They came to the congregation trying to take it from Moses. Yahuwah appeared and said he was about to destroy these people for rising up against Moses and them. If the Most High came down right now and said, where your enemies at? I'm about to go kill them. How would you feel? You would feel like, okay, let's go kill him, right? Watch what Moses do. Next verse.
And they fell upon their faces.
And they did what?
Fell upon their faces.
Keep going.
And said, O Elohim, the Elohim of Ruach and all flesh.
No, just the Elohim of the Israelites.
The Elohim of Ruach in all flesh.
The Elohim of Ruach in all flesh. Keep going.
Shall one man sin, and will thou be wroth with all the congregation?
So what is he doing right now? He's praying for them, right? He's increasing on those that are cursing him. He's blessing them that curse him. Correct? They want to take his spot, destroy him, and instead of saying, yeah, let's go get them. Yeah, I did that to them. He fell on his face and started praying for these people. Brother?
Yeah, because you know, the most time touch one of your enemies, you'll feel sorry for them.
You're supposed to, right? Yeah, it'd be bad, wouldn't it? So he fell on his face and began to pray for these people instead of wanting their destruction. And these people happen to be his cousins and uncles and brothers and sisters and stuff like that. He's still praying for them, right? Luke 6. All these things that Mashiach said that he told us to do, they're in the law. He's not giving us a new task. You understand what I'm saying? These are the things that the Pharisees looked over because all they saw was what they wanted to see. And the punishment for the eye for an eye and all that stuff. But that stuff was to make an example so that the Israelites would behave and mind the Most High, not just to do it and to carry it on because we're supposed to show compassion because we were made in God's image. And he showed compassion upon us. Luke 6 and 27 again.
Luke 6:27. But I say unto you which hear, love your enemies.
Love your enemies.
Do good to them which hate you.
Do good to those that hate you.
Bless them that curse you.
Bless them that curse you.
And pray for them which despitefully use you.
Which means just to use you for nothing. Can we see an example of somebody getting prayed for somebody that despitefully used them in the law? But Sister Andrea? Huh? Absolutely. That's actually a very great example. That's a very great example. But look at his kindred, right? So people will be like, oh, you gotta love your brother, right? That's the truth. Yep, they were. That's the truth. But people will take that and be like, see, it's only supposed to be about your people that look like you. So can we get an example in the scripture where he's praying for somebody that despitefully used him that wasn't of his nation? Let's get some background. Exodus 1. Exodus 1, pick it up at verse 10.
Go to Exodus chapter 1 and verse 10. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when they fall about any war, they join also our enemies and fight against us. And so get them up out of the land. Therefore, they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens.
So what's happening to the Israelites right now?
They're being enslaved.
They're being enslaved and becoming servants. Absolutely. So is it safe to say that the Egyptians are using them right now?
Yeah.
Despitefully using them, right?
Yeah.
Keep reading.
And they built for Pharaoh treasure city, Pithom and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were greedy because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor.
So, we got a case of the Egyptians despitefully using the Israelites, right? Let's get Exodus chapter 8. Pray for those that